In this video, I want to share with you what I believe to be are 5 key elements to any successful punch or strike. Stick around. Good form takes us beyond our physical limits. But what I want to do with this video is give you an even deeper understanding and not just give techniques. I'm going to give techniques, but I want to share with you some things that I believe will lock these things in and help them become more instinctive to you. There's a big difference between memorizing something and really understanding it. I want to share with you an acronym. That acronym is R.I.G.H.T, R-I-G-H-T. Now, even if you're left-handed, this is going to still apply to you. The R stands for range. Range is so important. This is why people with a long reach have such an advantage. And that is because they're able to be a long ways away from you, but in range to punch you effectively and not just make a connection. For example, if I'm here, I'm able to touch him, but I'm not going through him. We don't want to just make a surface connection. I think a lot of people think if I can just touch, I'll be good. If I just hit him from here, I'm going to make him angry. But here, I'm going to hurt him. It was just a simple step forward. So in order to punch or strike effectively, we've got to get in range. I don't know what your reach is. You have to experiment with that. I don't have a very long reach, so I've got to get in tight so I can be here instead of here. It's just a simple adjustment. You want to make sure you're close enough to strike within range to go through your target. It's the difference between this and this. It's the difference between this and this. I want to say this with regards to range. If you're going to be close enough to hit someone, you're going to be close enough to get hit. So you want to utilize both hands. If you're punching, you don't want your other hand down. You want your other hand up. If you jab, that other hand is up. That other hand is up. You're always protecting with the other hand so you can parry, so you can cover. Don't ever punch like this. Always keep your hand up. No matter what you do, you've always got a protective hand up. If you're going to that body, that hand is up. You're using the other hand to protect while the other one is going out to attack. One thing you can do just to train yourself to keep your hands up is get in the mirror, get in a fighting stance, tuck your chin. You don't want your chin up. Chin is down. 1, 2, 1, 2. And just move. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Throwing that hook, the other hand is up. Throw that body shot. Just keep those other hands up. The I stands for intent. There's a lot of things covered under this category of intent. You have a lot of questions to ask yourself. Do you know where you're striking? Are you just aiming for anything, or are you aiming for something in particular? Are you committed fully and completely? You see a lot of people out in the streets fighting. They're throwing very uncommitted strikes at anything. Under the umbrella of intent is understanding where to hit. It's knowing how the body responds to getting hit in certain places. If I hit him right here on the chest, it's not going to hurt him as bad as if I make a small adjustment and go into that solar plexus. It's a total game changer. This is one thing, that is another. So, you know, some people are just like, I'm going to hit him in the body, and there's no intent. They're just trying to make a connection anywhere they can. But somebody with intent is going to try to commit to that solar plexus. It's identifying your shot, aiming for a specific place, and being fully committed. I may want to back fist him to the eye from here. I may want to send a back fist to the eye. Well, so far we've talked about range. Number 1, I got to be in range to do that. Number 2, I need to be aiming for a specific place. I need to be committed to it and execute all in one motion. Let's just say somebody was going to throw a hook from right here. Well, someone with understanding and intent knows that there's going to be a whole different response hitting somebody here behind the jaw under the ear versus right here on the front of the face. You know, if I'm going to hit him, boom, my intent is to come into this area that has more of a shock zone factor. So don't just swing for the fences. Have intent on where you're going, understand how the body responds to getting hit in different areas, and be fully committed. Intent. The G stands for grounded. To understand what it means to be grounded is to understand that once you're in range and you have full intent, that you also have balance, and that power and everything is being generated from the ground up. It means I'm pushing off the ground, my legs are in it. I'm not just standing here going, no, everything's in it. To be grounded is to be balanced from the feet all the way to the head. Your body's working in one motion. Never at any point in time are you not working together as a body. H is for hot spot. When I talk about hot spot, I'm talking really about two specific things: what you're striking with and where you're striking. Under the category of intent, we talked about aiming for specific areas because the body doesn't like to be hit in certain places. Well, under this category of H, we're talking about hot spot. Let's take the hand, for example. So many people suffer from boxer's fractures. They just throw a random punch, they catch a guy in the jaw with these back two knuckles, and the hand breaks. Pay attention to the structure of the hand. I can wiggle these knuckles a lot. These are firmly connected to the bones in my hand. I'm not just saying, let me just take my hand and hit this guy, because a lot of people are not paying attention to the hot spots. They're not turning their hand into a weapon. They're ultimately trying to use their whole hand. But so often people end up breaking their hand with a boxer's fracture right here. So hot spot means if you want more power, you got to hit with the weapon that is most stable. On the hand here, this is your stability point. These two knuckles are going to be the thing that hurts him more because it's more of a stable weapon, more connected to the rest of my body. If I take these two knuckles and drive them into the solar plexus, it's going to be a painful thing. If I take this part of my hand and catch him with an effective hook, it's going to be devastating. If I take these two knuckles and I catch him with a back fist to the eye, or these two knuckles, and I come into the trachea, I'm hitting him with a more stable weapon. I'm hitting him with something that is connected to the rest of my body once I incorporate everything from range, intent, being grounded, and now hitting with the right weapon. Now, it's not just this part of the hand. Maybe you're doing an open hand strike. Well, the last thing you want to do is slap him with your fingers. You don't want to slap with this part of the hand, with the fingers and the bend of the hand. You want to smack with this part of the hand so that your whole body can be in that. This goes for everything. If I'm headbutting somebody, I'm not headbutting them with my forehead. I'm headbutting with this part of my head. If I'm elbowing somebody, I'm not elbowing them this way. I'm elbowing them this way. So the body has hot spots, parts that will create the most pain when you make a connection with them. So it goes hand in hand, the hot spot that you use and the hot spot that you hit. We're going to give 2 to the letter T, and that is torque and timing. Torque is a twisting force that causes rotation. This is oftentimes what is referred to as the snap in martial arts. You don't want to just, you want to have some snap in that thing. And that's that torque. Now, I also mentioned that the T was for timing. Man, the only way that you're going to be able to practice timing ultimately is to do some sparring, to get out there with somebody and recognize opportunities where you can make a connection. Sparring is especially important when it comes to learning timing. Timing is important. But I'll just say this one more thing with regards to timing though. In a street situation, some of the best timing is when you act before anything can happen to you, when you see that opportunity. Because when you're trying to protect yourself and get away, you want to stay away from the whole toe-to-toe aspect as much as possible. But in reality, sometimes we end up in a little bit of toe-to-toe. But let's talk about torque. We talked about range, we talked about intent, we talked about the ground up, we talked about the hot spots, and now we want to talk about torque. Torque, man. That one thing, that snap, makes everything come together. Range, intent, grounded / balanced, hot spots, the right weapon at the right time in the right place, and torque, snap, as well as timing is going to give you an awesome strike. As a bonus, if we wanted to, we could add one more letter to the acronym, S, and the S stands for snarl. Most of you have probably seen Rocky, the original, where Mickey's teaching that one guy how to punch and he's hitting the bag, and Mickey's like, you got no snarl in your punch. And he's like, Rocky, come over here and show him how to snarl. You know, Rocky hits that bag and he's like, you know, he's got that snarl. It's not an out of control type of frustration, but it's an intense focus and aggression. This is not some general thing we're doing, man. When we're striking, we're reaching from the ground up and we're sending everything we've got with every shot. So don't forget to snarl. And with striking, don't hold your breath. With that snarl and everything you got, let that air out. With striking, you should be concerned about increasing your hand and wrist strength. You can do wrist curls. They're very good for the wrist, the hand, some hand grips. Be careful not to overdo it with the hand grips. That can lead to tennis elbow, but just a little bit of hand grips. You know, just things that strengthen the ligaments in your wrist and your hands. If you're concerned about defending yourself, I think you need to be concerned with hand and wrist strength. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. I would just encourage you to ponder these things, keep training, build yourself up instinctively, keep moving, and you will have these things ingrained in you. Thanks for watching. Take care.